She was standing right in front of me, shaking a can of pepper spray like it was her badge of power. My service dog Max only sat there, tail low, ears back. He didn't bark, he didn't attack, he just stared at her, and still, she pulled the trigger. The spray hit his face. Max yelped and dropped to the ground, pawing his eyes. My heart sank. I rushed forward shouting, "What the hell is wrong with you? He's a service dog." Karen didn't even blink. She smirked, chin high like she'd won. "Service dog, please. This mutt isn't allowed here. All I rules. No pets on this property." Her words burned worse than the pepper spray in the air. My fists clenched, but I kept my voice steady. "He's not a pet. He's a certified service animal. You just committed a crime." Karen laughed. Actually laughed. "Crime, sweetheart. I am the HOA. What I say goes, and right now I say you and your filthy dog are out." I bent down, stroking Max's neck, whispering to him while he whimpered. Rage boiled inside me, but I held it back. Karen thought she had all the power, but she didn't know who she was dealing with. Suddenly, flashing red and blue lights cut across the street. Real cops pulled up, and Karen's smirk widened. Perfect timing. "Officers, arrest this man. He's trespassing with an illegal animal." I froze for a second, then looked at Max, then at the officer stepping out. Karen had no idea she had just dug her own grave. "Ma'am," one officer said slowly, his hand resting on his belt. "Did you just spray his dog?" Karen tilted her head, smug as ever. "Yes, and I'd do it again. HOA rules are the law here." The officer's expression changed. His jaw tightened. "That's not just a dog. That's a service animal. Spraying him is a federal crime." Karen's face drained of color. She actually stepped back like she'd been slapped, and I couldn't help it. I let the silence stretch, then whispered the line I knew would stick forever. "You just messed with the wrong soldier's dog." Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. For the first time since I'd met her, she looked unsure of herself. The officer stepped closer, his boots crunching on the gravel, and asked firmly, "Do you understand what you just did?" Karen's eyes darted between me and Max, who was still trembling but slowly lifting his head. She stammered, I was enforcing the rules. He can't bring animals here. It's in the bylaws." "Bylaws?" The officer cut her off. His voice sharpened. "Ma'am, HOA rules don't override federal law. Service animals are protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. What you did could land you in jail." Karen's face twisted in panic. She quickly tried to flip the script. "No, he threatened me first, and his dog. His dog lunged at me. I had to protect myself." The second cop, a younger one, shook his head slowly. "Funny," he said, pointing at the security camera mounted on my porch. The little red light blinked steadily, because that camera's been recording the whole time. Karen's eyes widened. She turned toward me, realization hitting her. I finally stood, keeping one hand on Max's back, and met her stare. My voice was calm, too calm. "You know what's worse than hurting a service dog? Lying to the police about it." Her mask cracked. She started to shout, her words tumbling out too fast. The older officer raised his hand, shutting her down cold. "Enough. If you're president of anything, you should know better. That's a serious offense." Karen's bravado drained out of her like air from a punctured balloon. She tried to smile to soften her voice, but it came out shaky. "Maybe we can settle this without paperwork." But what she didn't know was I wasn't just a man with a dog. I had a card in my pocket that would change everything. And once I showed it, her nightmare was only going to get worse. Karen's eyes followed, maybe thinking I was reaching for cash to settle like she suggested. But when I pulled out the small leather case and flipped it open, her fake smile collapsed. The badge caught the streetlight, gleaming cold and official. The older officer stiffened, then nodded at me with instant recognition. Karen's jaw dropped. You're a cop." "Not just a cop. Federal Service Animal Division. I trained K-9 units for law enforcement." Her face went pale, almost gray. She stumbled back a step, hands trembling. That's impossible. You're lying. You're just making that up. We've seen him at training sessions. He outranks both of us." Karen's knees looked like they might give out. She glanced around, searching for someone to back her up. But the neighbors had started peeking out from porches and windows. Phones were raised, recording every second. Her authority was slipping through her fingers. I crouched back down beside Max, who was breathing easier now, and stroked his fur. "You attacked a service dog, my service dog, and now the whole neighborhood knows." Karen shrieked, pointing at me wildly. "No, this is entrapment. He's setting me up. He's dangerous. Can't you see?" But no one believed her anymore. Not after the badge, not after the camera. Not with Max whimpering softly at my side. "Karen, you're under arrest." And just when she thought things couldn't get worse, her own husband's car pulled into the driveway. He stepped out, confusion written all over his face, holding a stack of mail. "Karen," he said slowly, "why is there a federal officer in our yard?" Her husband stopped halfway up the driveway, mail slipping from his hands when he saw the cuffs in the officer's grip. "Karen, what did you do this time?" His tone wasn't angry, it was tired, like a man who had been through this before. She spun toward him, desperate. "Rick, tell them I'm the HOA president. Tell them I was protecting our neighborhood from this faker and his mutt." Rick's face darkened. He looked straight at me. then at the badge still shining in my hand, and something in his expression shifted. Karen, he rubbed his forehead. I told you not to mess with him. I told you weeks ago, the crowd murmured. Neighbors leaning on fences. Phones raised higher now. The cops exchanged a look. Karen blinked, her mouth falling open. What do you mean weeks ago? Rick sighed, stepping closer, his voice low, but cutting through the night air. Because I already knew who he was. Everyone at my precinct does. Karen's scream caught in her throat. Your precinct, Rick, what are you talking about? He closed his eyes for a moment, then dropped the bombshell. I didn't just marry into this HOA circus, Karen. I'm a deputy sheriff and I warned you. Your little power games were going to catch up with you. The neighbors gasped. Karen staggered back like he had slapped her. She looked around wildly, pointing at me, at the cops, at her husband, her voice cracking. You're all against me. This is a setup. This is a conspiracy. But Rick didn't flinch. He looked at the officers and said calmly, do your job. I'll stay out of this one. The older officer grabbed her wrist and clicked the cuffs into place. Karen thrashed, shrieking at Rick. You betrayed me. I'm your wife. And Rick, without raising his voice, delivered the line that silenced the entire street. No, Karen, you betrayed yourself. Karen's scream echoed through the cul-de-sac, high and broken, as the officer tightened the cuffs. Neighbors stood frozen, their phones capturing every second. But just when it seemed she was finished, she twisted her body violently, nearly slipping free from the officer's grip. I'm not going anywhere, she shrieked, thrashing like a wild cat. This is my neighborhood. You can't take me away. I own this place. The younger cop reached to steady her, but she suddenly yanked something from her pocket, a folded piece of paper, crumpled and stained. She shoved it into the air with a triumphant grin. You all think you've got me cornered. Look at this, the deed. The land isn't his, it's mine. This whole block belongs to me. The crowd gasped. For a second, even the officers hesitated. Karen's smile spread wide, manic and desperate. Arrest him. I didn't move. I just straightened slowly, slipped my badge case back into my pocket, and pulled out a different document. Smooth official stamped with a federal seal. Karen's grin faltered when she saw the blue cover.